Hello, my name is Samantha Upshaw, and today I will be talking to you guys about will hydraulic fracturing, aka fracking, negatively affect human health and the environment? And I will be talking about the con side of this. So, talking about what is fracking, from the source BBC News 2018, they report that fracking is used to recover gas and oil from rocks from drilling deep into the earth that also lets out dangerous toxins into the air. Research also says that they use water, sand, and chemicals at high powers to break through the rock to get to the gas. The research talks about how there are advantages of fracking. Fracking allows firms to reach resources of oil and gas. In the United States, fracking has helped boost domestic oil production and help lower gas prices. And fracking has estimated to have offered gas security in the US and Canada for about 100 years now. And here I have a picture of kind of what happens. I thought it kind of showed it well. So here it shows at the very top, you can see it shows like the well. So that's the very top of them breaking into the rock. And they are going to go down through the water table, and then they're going to go through that using like the water and sand chemicals that get injected to get into the shell, which is all the way down there, that is being ejected to get to the gases that flow out finally to get to the gas and oil. And I thought this kind of demonstrates and shows it pretty well. Going back into what fracking is, from the source Yvette B.M. and Rumpler J. 2013, they report that fracking started about 70 years ago by drilling deep into rock to reach oil and natural gases. The book also shared that over 1 million Americans' wells have been fracked already. Some chemicals used in fracking are acids, detergents, and other toxins that are very harmful. These chemicals, if leaked into groundwater, can be harmful and are being measured by federal government. So a little bit more about what is fracking. From the source Hoffman J., they report that the technique of fracking was developed in the 1940s to get access to fossil energy. Fracking works by using bores to drill through thousands of feet into the earth, through the sediment layers, through the water table, and then finally through rock formations in order to reach those natural gases and oils. So it's kind of going back to that picture, going through the earth and then through the sediment layers and then through the water table. Some of the risks and concerns of fracking are air pollution, toxic chemical exposure, waste disposal, workplace safety, and a big amount of water being used. They use an extreme amount of water, and it is potentially wasteful. And a little bit more on fracking. Impacts of fracking are huge. Methane is a main natural gas that comes from fracking, and it is 25 times more potent in trapping carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. And that's kind of that's the main natural gas that's happening from fracking, and it is the main natural gas that's leaking into the what we are breathing. The research made a reference and said that the welled country gas wells equal the same amount of carbon as 1 to 3 million cars yearly, and that is frightening and kind of freaky to me to think that that much of carbon is getting put into the atmosphere as much as that many cars just from fracking in a year. And they also found that 75% of chemicals can affect your skin, eyes, organs, and respiratory systems. They found that 40 to 50% can have issues with their brain or nervous systems. And they found that 25% can cause cancer and or mutations, which is also very frightening to think that any of these things can be happening due to fracking, and that it can cause cancer and mutations is even more upsetting to me. All right, moving on to the perspective of the issue. Again, I'm on the con side. So from the source, Horton M. 2019, how fracking has effects on the environment, which include main pollutants released in the fracking process, with the main one being methylene, like I said. Research shows that 13 million metric tons of methane yearly is released into the air. Its global warming potential is 84 times that of carbon dioxide, again, which is like crazy to me. It's like so much carbon dioxide that we are getting into the air and that we're breathing. Global impacts from fracking are those who live close to fracking sites and can have health problems from this, such as irritation of the eyes, nose, mouth, throat. They can even have asthma and a lot of other respiratory conditions. And it was proven, I think, in one of my studies that I did in my annotated bib, they said that it was proven that people who live, I think, 2 miles from a fracking site had a lot of these issues, and there's a lot more birth defects related than those who didn't live that close to fracking sites. So that kind of proves that fracking does have impacts on humans and childbirth and pregnancies and our overall health. So more on the perspective of the issue, again on the con side, this is like continued. The research talked about how fracking affects water supply. The amount of water that is used in fracking is so much that it causes a limitation for residents. And if that water is low for sites, they will take water from lakes and rivers across the country. And I find that kind of disturbing that they're using so much water that residents could lose their ability to have clean drinking water, and then them going to take water from lakes and rivers that is healthy to use for this is also kind of upsetting. The risk of chemicals used in fracking process may leak into local water supplies, and research reports that in 2015 there were 151 spills of fracking fluid, and 13 of those spills reached surface water supply, so meaning that it reached our drinking water, or like potential drinking water, which is scary and not really talked about. Other concerns that come from fracking could be earthquakes, air pollution, and water contamination due to toxic chemicals that are being used and being released from fracking. And a little bit more of perspective of the issue on the con side from the source, Engelhardt R. 2015, he reports that fracking sites are suspected of contaminating the drinking water in Colorado, Pennsylvania, and several other states, which I find not surprising, as I am telling you all these other facts that if it is reaching water supplies, I'm sure it is contaminating our drinking water. The NRDC is trying to protect people from the health risks from fracking. They are calling state and federal agencies to stand strong to limit the pollution. And in other sources that I have, they talked about how they have stakeholders that are for it, and we have stakeholders that are against it and want to help us, and those are part of those. Fracking can release pollution that can cause headaches, asthma, leukemia, cardiac problems, and birth defects. Like I said earlier, that those people who live closer to fracking sites were having a lot of birth defects from like being near those sites. And a little bit more on the perspective of the issue, con side, over 1,000 chemicals are used in fracking that are harmful to humans. Also, some fracking is known to cause cancer, like I said earlier, which is very disturbing. Research is said that a lot of pollution is left in the dark about all public health issues that fracking causes, and that there's not a lot of testing data for air and water quality, which makes it hard for doctors to find out if a patient was exposed to a spill if they come in feeling sick or something. And I think we definitely need to put more money into testing data for the water and air quality, because we need to get this figured out. And this information should be open to the public so they know what fracking impacts they have on their community. All right, and a little bit more in perspective of the issue from the source Lorenza A 2020. The greatest part of fracking is collected, but about 4% escapes into the atmosphere. Methane is up to 25 times more harmful to the ozone layer than carbon emissions due to heat. Other gases that escape are carbon monoxide, benzene, formaldehyde, and nitrogen oxides, which those are super dangerous. Fracking uses millions of gallons of water, like I've said, and it was found that over 40% of wastewater with chemicals in it were found and returned to surrounding areas' groundwater. So again, just more information on how fracking is putting chemicals into water that's near our drinking water. It was found that chemicals have been found in local drinking water where the process was taking place, and fracking can affect the agriculture land, which can lead to contamination of our crops, and we can be getting sick from eating our own vegetables and stuff like that too, which is scary. So some potential solutions from the source: Canning E, Coaster A, Donnelly D, Sullivan Phillips J, 2015 report. Some solutions could be to get new technology and have environmentally friendly technology, so that's very important. Air pollution can be decreased by upgrading equipment using natural gas powered equipment instead of diesel, so that can cut back on emissions and fuel costs and less pollution into the air. Installing infrared cameras can seek a leak, so they can help reduce the leaks of methane. A nationwide change could reduce emissions by 35 billion cubic feet yearly, which is huge. I think installing those cameras could really help us. And this would help money-wise and environmentally wise too. And the best way to get rid of this problem altogether would be to get rid of fracking altogether. We need to learn not to be so dependent on fossil fuels, and we could basically go onto biofuels, which are from corn and beets, instead of using all these natural gases. And one more solution that I found from the source Fracking Impacts and Solutions 2014 reports that no fossil fuels can be burned anymore after the year 2050 due to global warming. Fracking also is very bad for our health, like I've mentioned, health defects, asthma, cancer, skin, eye irritation, all of that. Some solutions to fracking would be to ban fracking altogether, like I said in the other potential solution, but there will need to be something else in place to get this energy. So the potential solution would be to get rid of fracking altogether if we could. And yeah, that's all I have, and then I have my reference list. So yeah.